Greetings again, Cardboard fans. Back to our space adventure.
Yeah.
We're going to continue talking to our crew today. Garrus, my man. UNCX? I don't think I've got the option to talk to him.
Why did you want to be a C-Sec officer in the first place?
That's a good question. There were several reasons, I guess.
As such?
Like what?
Probably the same as most officers. I wanted to fight injustice, wanted to help people. I guess my father had something to do with it too. He was C-Sec, one of the best. I grew up hearing about his accomplishments or seeing his picture on the vids after a big arrest. He's taking my resignation pretty hard.
Why?
He's not impressed that you're going after Saren?
My father's a C-Sec man to the bone. Do things right or don't do them at all, he says. He thinks I'm being too rash, too impatient. He's worried I'll become just like Saren. He actually talked me out of becoming a Spectre when I was younger, for the same reasons.
A Spectre?
You were asked to be a Spectre.
Well, I was targeted as a possible Spectre candidate. Me and about 1,000 other Turian military recruits. I could have received special training, but my father didn't like it. He despises the Spectres. He hates the idea of someone having unlimited power with no accountability. He wouldn't like you.
Me too.
No offense.
Typical. Too bad.
Not all Spectres are like Saren, you know.
Of course not. But Saren's not going to play by our rules, C-Sec's rules. If you want to nail Saren, you need to send someone who isn't restricted by policies and procedures.
Exactly.
You're a quick learner, Garrus. We'll beat him at his own game. It's the only way to stop someone like him.
I'm right behind you, Commander.
Hello.
Commander?
Can we talk?
Do you have a few minutes to talk? One-on-one?
Sure. I was hoping to get a minute of your time off the record.
What's up? Not for a personal chat. I actually would say what's up. I feel like being a bit casual, that'd be fine.
Is this duty-related, Chief?
No, ma'am. Well, maybe. I know things are different aboard the Normandy, but I'm concerned about the aliens, Vicarian and Rex. With all due respect, Commander, should they have full access to the ship?
Because they're aliens? Because they're not allies? I say because they're aliens.
You don't trust their motives because they're not human.
This is the most advanced ship in the Alliance Navy. I don't think we should give them free rein to poke around the vital systems. Engines, sensors, weapons.
I can confine them. You don't trust aliens. My hands are tied. You're out of line. That's it's not particularly dickish, and she was kind of talking off the record. She knows that it's but I want to know why
You
she
don't
doesn't
trust the
aliens.
Alliance's allies?
I'm not sure I'd call the Council races allies.
Me either.
We, humanity, have to learn to rely on ourselves.
We need allies. Mind your words. Do you want to? I normally play it very progressive when I speak to her, in the sense that I give aliens the benefit of the doubt. But it is true that we need allies by mistrusting our allies. It is, yeah.
How do you get from relying on ourselves to mistreating our allies?
I don't mean we should mistreat them, Commander. I just think we should be prepared to go it without them. As noble as the Council members seem now, if their backs are against the wall, they'll abandon us.
How clinical. It's true, it is pretty clinical. Ooh, I like this conversation. It's making me think. I know, realistically, the conversation has no real value, but I like doing my own mental twisting about what the ramifications of these are. Of course they will. They are kind of shitbags, the Council. But I wouldn't blame the races for the Council's actions, to be perfectly honest. And I think that's where the disavide in this conversation is.
You get a pessimistic view of the universe, Williams.
A pessimist is what an optimist calls a realist. Look, if you're fighting a bear and the only way for you to survive is to sick your dog on it and run, you'll do it. As much as you love your dog, it isn't human. It's not racism, not really. Members of their species will always be more important to them than humans are.
I am interested.
These seem like deeply held beliefs, Williams. What made you think this way?
My family's defended the Alliance since it was founded. My father, grandfather, great-grandmother, they all picked up a rifle and swore the oath of service. I guess we just tend to think of Earth's interests as our own.
You have to work with aliens.
Alright, I can see where your concerns are coming from, Williams. But this is a multilateral mission. You're gonna have to work with aliens, like it or not.
It won't be a problem, Commander. You say jump, I say how high. You tell me to kiss a Turian, I'll ask which cheek.
I don't know, the left one? I mean, I wouldn't tell you to kiss a Turian, but, you know, kinda hot. Thanks, good. Remember
I'm
that.
glad there won't be a problem.
Anything else you need, Commander?
Goodbye.
Dismissed, Chief.
Ma'am.
Why does he say that to the chief, like, in such a subtle, like, you know, seductive way? It's so weird. Dismissed, chief. Weird. Huh? I swear I've gotten that codex like 4 times.
Oh, hello, Shepard.
You sound down. What's wrong? Like I need this. God, mean. I'm not gonna be mean to her. What's wrong?
Are you okay?
I don't know. Your ship is amazing, and your crew's been really great to me, especially your chief engineer. But I just sort of feel out of place. The Normandy runs so smooth it feels like we're not even moving, and the engines are so quiet. How do you sleep at night?
I like the silence. It's not so bad. I manage. It's too quiet to sleep.
The silence wakes you up?
Back on the flotilla, the last thing you want to hear is silence. It means an engine's died or an air filter shut down. I guess you don't have to worry about that here. But old habits die hard. But it's more than just the silence. This ship feels so empty. It's like half the crew is missing. Back home, I couldn't wait to go on my pilgrimage. I couldn't wait to get away from the crowds. Now that I'm out here, I kind of miss them.
Maybe that's the point. Stay focused. You're homesick. Maybe it is the point.
Sounds like the pilgrimage isn't just about finding resources for the fleet. Maybe it's about teaching you to appreciate your people and culture.
You're probably right. We Quarians spend our whole lives traveling. But really, we never leave home. The pilgrimage has given me a whole new perspective on our culture. You know, there's always a few who go on their pilgrimages and never return. I always assumed something bad happened to them. But maybe they just wanted a different life.
You're going back home, right?
You do plan to return to the migrant fleet, right?
I could never abandon my people, Shepard. I will go back eventually. But we have to stop Saren first. Otherwise, I might not have a home to go back to.
Did I do all these?
I want to know more about the Geth.
I doubt I can tell you anything you don't already know. It's been almost 3 centuries since they drove my people into exile. All I know is the story of their origins. What they were when we created them, and how they turned on us.
Tell me.
The Geth were originally created to serve as an automated manual...
You gotta know your enemy, my friends.
Initially, their intelligence was as limited as any VI. Over time, we made small modifications to their programming to allow them to perform more varied and complex tasks, bringing them closer and closer to true AI status.
How come the Council didn't step in and stop you?
This wasn't true AI research. We may have been skirting the bounds of the law, but we never did anything that was actually illegal. The changes were so insignificant, so gradual, that we were able to control them. Or so we thought. But one thing we underestimated was the power of the neural network. A million Geth thinking simultaneously created an inherently unstable matrix.
No network.
So the Geth share brain power?
Many of the Geth's logic systems were designed to work in concert with other nearby Geth. Basically, the more of them you have in a group, the smarter they are.
So there's some sort of group consciousness.
No, nothing like that. They cannot share sensory data or information. Their programming cannot handle that much simultaneous input. Each Geth maintains an individual awareness and identity. The neural network only operates on a process-based level. It's basically the synthetic equivalent of a subconscious. But when they're in close proximity, they can coordinate low-level functional processes, freeing up more capacity for original or independent thought.
I don't get
That
it.
doesn't make any sense.
I'm probably oversimplifying. The Geth are incredibly advanced and complex creations. All you need to know is that they get smarter when they gather in large numbers. As we built more and more Geth, their effective intelligence became more sophisticated, more abstract. One day, a Geth began to ask its Quarian overseer questions about the nature of its existence. Am I alive? Why am I here? What is my purpose? As you can imagine, this caused a near panic among my people.
I don't see what's so bad about those questions.
The Geth were created to engage in mundane, repetitive, or dangerous manual labor. That's fine for machines, but it won't satisfy a sentient being for long. The Geth were showing signs of rudimentary self-awareness and independent thought. If the Geth were intelligent, then we were essentially using them as slaves. It was inevitable the newly sentient Geth would rebel against their situation. We knew they would rise up against us, so we acted first. A general order went out across all Quarian-controlled systems to permanently deactivate all Geth. The Geth responded to this order violently.
What did you expect? It was your fault. They defended themselves. What did you
You
expect?
didn't really think they'd just let you destroy them without a fight, did you?
The hope was that most of the Geth would still be little more than machines, incapable of organized resistance. But they had progressed much further than anyone anticipated. The war was long and bloody. Millions upon millions of Quarians died at their hands. In the end, we were forced to flee our own homeworld. We feared the Geth would pursue us, but they never came beyond the Veil. Now we drift through space, exiles searching for a way to reclaim what was once ours.
Oof, so you're right. They defended themselves.
It's hard to feel sorry for you. Your ancestors tried to wipe out another species.
We made a mistake when we created the Geth in the first place, but we did not make a mistake when we went to war against them. If we had not acted, they would have wiped us out. They're a synthetic life form. They have no use for organics. None. Why do you think they cut themselves off from the rest of the galaxy? Why do you think they've killed every organic being who's ever tried to contact them?
I'm not surprised. Not everyone.
They didn't kill Saren.
What does that tell you? The Geth are not innocent victims in all this. They're the enemy. They want to destroy us. Not just the Quarians. All organic life. That's why they've joined up with Saren. And that's why we have to stop him.
Goodbye.
I should go.
See you later.
See, it's debates like that make the first game so strong. With the whole Quarian-esque Geth scenario, because the Geth obviously achieve some sort of sentience because they effectively work like mini processors, and they all have their own set of drive information. So like you consider it like they have hard drives or like memory, and then like they each assist each other in processing that information that they have in order to make individual units stronger. But it's interesting that like, you know, they can never get past the concept of thinking them as machines. So then the Geth are just treated as lesser beings, even though they never pursued the Quarians outside of their spaceship, and they only pushed them away when they instigated hostility towards them. So the Geth have actually, in their own protocol, the Geth have never initiated hostilities outside of meeting Seren, by the sounds of it. There's even this whole shtick where they said like they don't come out of the void. They don't try to expand their territory, which is kind of an interesting notion that they probably should have been trying to expand their territory if they did consider growth as part of their option, but it's more internal growth that they have. Anyway, Rexy, for a much less complicated conversation.
We've got Saren on the run.
Yes, we do.
It won't be long now. Saren's good, but I'm better.
Good. He's rotten. To the core. I could tell as soon as I met him.
You knew Seren?
Why didn't you tell me this sooner?
I would have if I thought it was important.
Keep talking. Fair enough.
I'll decide what's important. Now tell me how you know Saren.
This was a while ago. A bunch of mercs
Gosh,
were
this is fair
bragging
enough.
about a job out near the edges of the terminus systems. They said it paid well and the boss was never around to ride them. They said he was looking for more men, too. So I checked it out.
Seren
I didn't know
recruited
Saren
you?
was openly recruiting mercs.
It wasn't that open, and he only showed his face once. We'd been raiding ships in the area for months when we took out this massive cargo freighter. Our biggest haul yet. I was on board checking bodies for valuables.
Man, your
Some
teeth are
extra
black.
credits. That's when I saw him.
What did Saren want?
I love that
with
there's
the
just
ship?
one
I
streamlined
don't know what he wanted.
choice for this
He was just
conversation.
moving through the ship.
Or you can just leave.
A couple of the mercs called him by name, but he never spoke to them. Never spoke to anyone. I had a really bad feeling about him, so I got the hell out. Didn't even wait to get paid.
Cargo, ship.
What kind of cargo was the freighter carrying? What was Saren after?
I don't know. All I saw on that ship was food and medical supplies. There were some basic weapons, but nothing big. If there was anything of value on that ship, I didn't see it.
Man, I just
That's
want
why
to
I
rub
didn't
his
mention it
face.
sooner.
His smooth, turtle-like face.
Whose ship was it?
There was a Volus trading vessel. Big one. Lots of guards. But they were no match for us.
That's the only time you saw him?
Yeah. Didn't even know who he was. Still wouldn't if I hadn't joined up with you. But my instincts were right. Every other merc on that mission turned up dead within a week. Every damn one.
Are your people really dying?
We're sure not getting any stronger. We're too spread out. None of us are interested in staying in our own system.
Lots of species have left their homes and prospered.
But they go to colonize new worlds. We're not settlers. We're warriors. We want to fight. So we leave. Hire ourselves out. And most of us never go back.
Oh,
So long, Rex.
poor old man Rex.
Never.
Rex. How about we finish off this episode with a little bit of lore?
The Asari were the first species to discover the Citadel. When the Solarians arrived, it was the Asari who proposed the establishment of the Citadel Council to maintain peace throughout the galaxy. Since
Look at
then,
that face.
the Asari have served
What
as the
Asari is
mediators
that? I've
and
never even seen that
centrists of the
person.
Council. An all-female race, the Asari reproduce through a form of parthenogenesis. They can attune their nervous system to that of another individual of any gender and of any
Parthenogenesis.
species to reproduce. This capability has led to the unseemly and inaccurate rumors about Asari promiscuity. Asari can live for over 1,000 years, passing through 3 stages of life. In the maiden stage, they wander restlessly, seeking new knowledge and experience. When the matron stage begins, they meld with interesting partners to produce their offspring. This ends when they reach the matriarch stage, where they assume the roles of leaders and counselors.
It's a really weird picture of an Asari there. I have no idea what that's from. It's like a picture. It might be Liara. I'm not too sure. If it is, it's a really weird outfit and a really weird position they put her in. Maybe it's from a trailer or something. I don't know why they call them all female. It's really weird because that would infer that they have genital. Never mind, moving on.
The second species to join the Citadel, the Solarians, are warm-blooded amphibians
yes,
with a
the bug
hyperactive
people.
metabolism. Solarians think
Well,
fast,
lizard.
talk fast, and move fast. To Solarians, other species seem sluggish and dull-witted. Unfortunately, their metabolic speed leaves them with a relatively short lifespan. Solarians over the age of 40 are a rarity. The Solarians were responsible for advancing the development of the primitive Krogan species to use as soldiers during the Rachni Wars. They were also behind the
Get out there,
creation of the
savages.
genophage bioweapon the Turians used to quell the Krogan rebellions several centuries later. Solarians are known for their observational capability and non-linear thinking. This manifests as an aptitude for research and espionage. They are constantly experimenting and inventing, and it is generally accepted that they always know more than they are letting on.
The shrewd ones.
Though now extinct, the Rachni once threatened every species in Citadel space.
You could definitely
Over
recognize that
2,000
area. They're
years
taking that
ago,
photo in.
explorers foolishly opened a mass relay to a previously unknown system and encountered something never seen before
Got
or
weird
since.
tentacle hands.
A species of spacefaring insects guided by a hive mind intelligence. Unfortunately, the Rachni were not peaceful, and the galaxy was plunged into a series of conflicts known as the Rachni Wars. Attempts to negotiate were futile, as it was impossible to make contact with the hive queens that guided the race from beneath the surface of their toxic home world. The emergence of the Krogan ended the Rachni Wars. Bred to survive the harshest environments, the Krogan were able to strike at the queens in their lairs and reclaim conquered Council worlds. But when Krogan fleets pressed them back to their homeworld, the Rachni refused to surrender, and the Krogan eradicated them from the galaxy.
Yes, the Great Lobster Wars.
In the early 2160s, the Alliance began aggressive colonization of worlds in the Skyllian Verge, much to the dismay of the Batarians, who had been developing the region for several
The
decades.
Batarians definitely look like something
In
out of Star Trek.
2171, the
With their, like,
Batarians petitioned the
multi-noses.
Council to declare the Verge a zone of Batarian interest. The Council refused, however, declaring unsettled worlds in the region open to human colonization. In protest, the Batarians closed their Citadel embassy and severed official diplomatic relations with the Council, effectively becoming a rogue state. They instigated a proxy war in the Verge by funneling money and weapons to criminal organizations, urging them to strike at human colonies. Hostilities peaked with the Skyllian Blitz of 2176, an attack on the human capital of Elysium by Batarian-funded pirates and slavers. In 2178, the Alliance retaliated with a crushing assault on the moon of Torfin, long used as a staging base by Batarian-backed criminals. In the aftermath, the Batarians retreated into their own systems and are now rarely seen in Citadel space.
The Skyllian Blitz is going to sound like a throwback to your backstory if you choose that as an option, I think.
The Elcor are a Citadel species native to the high-gravity world Dakuna. They are massive creatures, standing on 4 muscular legs for increased stability. Elcor move slowly, an evolved response to an environment where a fall can be lethal. This has colored their psychology, making them deliberate and conservative. Elcor's speech is ponderous and monotone. Among themselves, scent, slight movements, and sub-vocalized infrasound convey shades of meaning that make a human smile seem as subtle as a fireworks display. Since their subtlety can lead to misunderstandings with other species, the Elcor often go out of their way to clarify when they are being sarcastic, amused, or angry. Dakuna's high gravity impedes mountain formation. Most of the world consists of flat, open plains, which prehistoric Elcor wandered across in small family bands. Modern Elcor still prefer open sky, and can become restless and uncomfortable on long starship journeys. In the early The
Geth
Geth.
we looked
When
at.
the Asari discovered the
Keepers.
Citadel, they also discovered the Keepers, a docile, multi-limbed insect race that seemingly exists only to maintain and repair the Great Prothean Station. Early attempts to communicate
Yes,
with or
it's
study
very
the
wise to
Keepers
leave
were
an
failures,
unknown species
and it is now
caretaking
illegal to interfere
your main
with
place
or
of
impede
operation,
Keeper
knowing
activity.
nothing about them.
Because they are completely non-threatening, Keepers have become virtually invisible to everyone else.
Ooh, non-threatening.
Similarly, they seem indifferent to other species, except for their tendency to help new arrivals integrate themselves into the Citadel. No matter how many Keepers die due to old age, violence, or accident, they maintain a constant number. No one has discovered the source of new Keepers, but some hypothesize they are genetic constructs, biological androids created somewhere deep in the inaccessible core of the Citadel itself. The Krogan evolved in a hostile and vicious environment. Until the invention
Rex
of
looking upset
gunpowder
there.
weapons, eaten by predators was still the #1 cause of Krogan fatalities. Afterwards, it was death by gunshot. When the Solarians discovered them, the Krogan were a brutal, primitive species, struggling to survive a self-inflicted nuclear winter. The Solarians culturally uplifted them, teaching them to use and build modern technology, so they could serve as soldiers in the Rachni War. Liberated from the harsh conditions of their homeworld, the quick-breeding Krogan experienced an unprecedented population explosion. They began to colonize nearby worlds. Even though these worlds were already inhabited, the Krogan rebellions lasted nearly a century, only ending when the Turians unleashed the Genophage, a Solarian-developed bioweapon that crushed all Krogan resistance. The Genophage makes only 1 in 1,000 pregnancies viable, and today the Krogan are a slowly dying breed. Understandably, the Krogan harbor a grudge against all other species, especially the Turians. Driven from their home system by the Geth nearly 3 centuries ago, the Krogan evolved in a
The Krogan being, like, you know, basically genocide is actually quite an interesting take on the whole, you know, interrupting a species, because they effectively interfered with their own personal growth. So it's one of those things where, even though they brought on themselves, the Krogan were punished for it, but at the same breath, the Krogan were massive conquerors. They're basically like Kirks, you know.
The Krogan, driven from their home system by the Geth nearly 3 centuries ago, most Quarians now live aboard the Migrant Fleet, a flotilla of 50,000 vessels ranging in size from passenger shuttles
Just
to
looking around
mobile
like,
space
"Nani?"
stations. Home to 17 million Quarians, the flotilla understandably has scarce resources. Because of this, each Quarian must go on a rite of passage known as the pilgrimage when they come of age. They leave the fleet and only return once they have found something of value they can bring back to their people. Other species tend to look down on the Quarians for creating the Geth, and for the negative impact their fleet has when it enters a system. This has led to many myths and rumors about the Quarians, including the belief that underneath their clothes and breathing masks, they are actually cybernetic creatures, a combination of organic and synthetic parts.
Now that would have been a really interesting twist if they ever, like, went that way. It turns out that the Quarians themselves are synthetic, and they just have, like, organic parts attached to them. That's kind of neat. Like, it'd be funny if that was, like, you know, suddenly that came to fruition, but obviously I don't think it does. But yeah, it's weird that they get prejudiced for making a mistake, whereas the whole Krogan thing is just kind of like in the backstory. Alright, so I guess this was a hanging with the boys episode and getting some of that social linking going on. Thank you for joining, and if you're interested, leave a comment, have a little discussion in the comment section. I obviously don't get many, but I'll try and reply to everybody who comments and say something, and let me know who I should ship Margarita with, if anybody, or, you know, there's always the option of shipping her with someone and then killing off that somebody. I'm just saying, that's an option. But yeah, thanks for enjoying, and I'll catch you next time on Mass Effect Legends, first game thing